question for you guys. What is the point of putting lipstick on a guinea pig besides making it look fabulous? Well, I wear cosmetics products every day, obviously, and probably you guys do too, even if you don't think you do. That's because along with makeup, moisturizers, and nail polish, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, also known as the FDA, definition of cosmetics includes things like shampoo, deodorant, and toothpaste. So today I want to talk about the factors to consider when buying a product, and so you can have more conscience to know what's going on before making that product. So unless these cosmetics also treat something like dandruff or cavities, provide some protection, or have color additive, the FDA has no authority to regulate them, and it's up to the cosmetic company to make sure they're safe before they hit the market. There are a lot of factors to consider when testing a cosmetic. Manufacturers need to know if products will cause an allergic reaction, if they cause temporary or irreversible skin or eye damage, at what point they're toxic, if absorbed through skin, lungs, or digestive tract, the effects of long-term exposure. So pretty much the things you need to worry about if you're a teenage boy who overuses body spray, but cosmetic companies can jump straight to tests on teenage boys because they would probably get a call from their irritated mothers. Companies don't test on people because it's inhuman. And if something goes wrong, it might harm a human being. So is it okay to test on animals? Before a human uses a product, it has to be safe. So for a long time, animals have to try it out. The chemicals are not cosmetic. Usually, the test involves mice, rats, guinea pigs, or bunnies. Understandably, many people consider this test inhuman, and some places like Europe have banned products that test on animals entirely. Other places like China actually require animal testing on finished products. So China has a regulation, like if you have your own brand and you want to sell products to China, you have to sign a contract, which if your brand is cruelty-free, but if you sell your products to China, you have to sign a regulation that specifies that they'll test your product on animals, even though like if you don't, and because it's required by law to test cosmetics on animals over there. And if your brand sells over there and it says it's cruelty-free, don't trust it because it's not 100%. Depending on what scientists are testing for, they might just use one bunny or as many as 2,600 mice. Cosmetic makers would probably stop doing this if they could avoid it, but since they can't test on humans and animals are the closest to humans, well, that's what they do. The types of tests that are being done for to animals, it's the eye irritancy, dermal penetration, skin sensation, repeated dose toxicity, carcinogenicity, and many other cruel tests. The Johns Hopkins Center for Alternative to Animal Testing, also known as the CAT, is working on alternative methods so we can stop testing on animals. Either way, learning more about what we put in our bodies is always a valuable pursuit. Otherwise, we would end up like the Romans, who poisoned themselves with white lead for makeup, foundation, and all for the sake of beauty. So, according to crueltyfreekitty.com, if you want to join organizations about stop using products that test on animals, you can donate and you can join their campaigns and stuff. There's nothing really that we can do to stop, But if you stop using their products, like that's something that you can do. And brands that are 100% cruelty-free, it's Ardell, Bare Minerals, Becca, ColourPop, Tarte, Too Faced, Urban Decay, Cover FX, Elf, Hourglass, Kat Von D, Kylie Cosmetics, and NYX. And there's a lot of more brands. If you go to that website, crueltyfreekitty.com, you can look for the brands that are 100% cruelty-free, and if there's like a brand that says that it's cruelty-free but has an exception, that means it's not. And vegan products are not 100% cruelty-free, so just keep that in mind, and thank you.
All right, Shay, tell us what you thought.
I thought the opening was cute and funny about the guinea pig wearing lipstick. After that, the preview was a little hard to understand because you kind of like just read off your card and kind of stumbled upon some words, but I did pick it up. And I like that it wasn't just for females and that it was for your classmates, so you gave like the male viewpoint of it too. The beginning of the speech, you relied on your note cards a lot and didn't really look at the audience. Your voice was projected and it was loud. And you gave citations and you gave an organization and a website for us to visit and examples of cruelty-free makeups for us to use. The ending was an okay exit.
All right. Yeah, I thought the visualization of the lipstick on the guinea pig is kind of cute, and you have then this definition that explains what the FDA's ability to influence or regulate these products are. It's a little unclear to me for a lot of the speech what your actual position is. It seems to suggest in a lot of places that it's necessary to do this testing, but there are also places where you're suggesting it seems like it's cruel and problematic. The cruel part, the idea that there's some reason to object to doing this, has never really developed much. The closest we get is, a count of the number of animals that might be used, anywhere from 1 rabbit to 2,600 mice. And other than that, I'm not exactly sure what's particularly cruel about it, except that we're all laughing at the guinea pig wearing the makeup, and that seems like it's kind of mean. But I assume that there are consequences to the animals. And there are a lot of places where you're also suggesting that it's necessary to have the consequences of the animals because it would be wrong to test it on humans. I kind of like the visualization. We don't want to randomly test body sprays on teenage boys with it just to see if it creates irritation, because the only people it might irritate are their mothers. I thought that was a funny line. So you get the right idea there of how to kind of inject some personality and humor into the presentation, but your point of view needs to be a little bit clearer. Part of the problem I see is that although I know what the subject is, I don't know what your purpose is, and there's not really a strong preview of what the structure is going to be in the presentation. We get kind of bits and pieces of information about the industry here and there. We're talking about China and its requirement for testing. We're talking about a contract that says, oh no, if you're going to sell here, we have to have testing, we'll do it ourselves. And then we get an argument that seems to suggest that that means that there's no such thing as cruelty-free products if they're sold in China, because automatically they were cruelly done by the Chinese government in doing their evaluation process. I guess that's the argument that's being made there, but it got a little bit confusing. You do suggest at one point donating to organizations, but you're not very clear on what those organizations do and what it is that we're donating to do. I think your better argument is to suggest that we, if we want to avoid cruelty to animals, that we should buy cruelty-free products. But then in several places you tell us, but don't be suckered by it being called cruelty-free, because just because they have that label doesn't mean that it's the case. The only thing that I have to go on for sure, though, is that if it's sold in China, we know it's not cruelty-free, except by the manufacturer, who didn't do any testing on the animals, but the Chinese government, which did, which, again, I'm not sure why that would be a violation of that cruelty standard. I thought it was confusing at the end that you give us two pieces of information that are a little bit off track. One about, stuff not being cruelty-free, and the other about vegan doesn't necessarily mean that it's cruelty-free, and then you're done. And I'm going, well, that seems like an odd way to finish off the argument. It seems like there's something that's missing there, and so it's a little bit confusing. The delivery things, I think your voice is pretty solid. If I'm just listening to you, you're doing a good job. But I'm also watching you, and you're doing a lot of reading, and that's problematic. And I think that because you've got the notes close to the vest, that you're not getting as much engagement as you might also. All right, thank you.